Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. April's not quite over yet. It was a very big month for book releases. It usually is. I feel like April and May and June are like the big dog when it comes to book releases. Like April, I just don't even read a lot of backlists because I'm so focused on new releases, and that's okay because I want to be. So today's whole video is, are these new releases worth your read? I have some sequels that are kind of sequels but kind of companions. I have some standalones from favorite authors. I have some mixed feelings about things, but I have lots of books to talk about. So let's get into it. So for these, I'm going to leave timestamps down below in case you want to hear about one particular book. But what you can expect in this video is for me to tell you what the book is about, what I liked about it or what I didn't like about it, and my rating. I'm going to keep them all spoiler free and just let you know my thoughts and feelings and if I think they're worth the read or not, because they're getting, a lot of these are getting a lot of hype because they're by well-known authors. They're just all anticipated books. All that kind of thing. Books we'll be talking about today are Say You Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. These are probably the most two popular ones because they're by really well-known authors and some of my favorites, and I have some feelings. So it's gonna be long for these two. Passion Project by London Sperry, The Sirens by Amelia Hart. And the last two I'm going to touch very briefly on because they're kind of sequels, so I don't want to go into depth in it, but I'm going to talk about them. I have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage and Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. So there's 6 books in this video. I was not going to do the 6 books, but I'm like, these are all kind of anticipated big releases in April, so I feel like I have to talk about them. So let me shut up and get right into it. April is always a month where the publishers love to bless us with both a new Abby Jimenez book and an Emily Henry book, and my heart is always so happy. This year, kind of conflicted because I have mixed feelings on both. So first up, we have Say You Remember Me. I have loved Abby Jimenez since when she first started publishing books. In fact, I say my least favorite book of hers of all time is her first published, and I'm so glad I decided to continue on with her because I love her books, and I feel like she gets better and better. So Say You Remember Me is her newest one, and I gave it a 5 out of 5. I still stand by that because I still feel very personal to the story. A lot of people have not been loving it, and I can see why, and I'll talk more about it. But basically, this follows 2 characters. It follows Xavier and Samantha. So Xavier and Samantha meet right at the beginning of the book. Xavier's a veterinarian. Samantha is bringing in her kitten that doesn't have like a butt. I don't know. That whole plot was weird as mess to me. I don't like reading stuff about that, like potty humor and stuff. It's not the best for me. It's a kitten that she found, and she's like, can you help him? And he's like, look, this surgery's like 10 grand and it's a lot of money. Do you have that? And she's like, I really don't. And he's like, sadly, I suggest to let the cat go. You know what I mean? That's the most humane thing. And she's like, I can raise the money. People donate money. And he's like, humanity is really not that great. I can't argue with him on that. I do think it's really good. Sometimes it surprises you. And she's like, I will raise it. And so what do you know? She does raise it. She calls the cat Pooter, and she's like, give Pooter a new Pooter. And I'm like, why would we do this? But either way, she's raising the money. She does the surgery. She comes back and she's like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, you know what? I'm attracted to you. Let's go on a date. And she's like, okay. And so they go on a date, and it kind of goes from there. And basically the whole plot of this book is, at first they were in Minnesota, but Samantha has to move back home to California because her mother has dementia. Her mother's only 59, I believe, 58, somewhere around that, and she has early onset dementia due to all of her concussions in the past. And so she has to go home to help like her sister and her dad and her grandmother help take care of her mom. And so it's kind of tricky because Xavier's practice is in Minnesota. He's put all of his money into opening up his own practice, so he can't really drop everything and go move with her to California, and she can't leave California because she has to take care of her mom. And so they basically start a long distance relationship, if you will. And the book is all about that while also being a caregiver to a parent that has dementia. I've always said lately that Abby Jimenez writes books that hits directly to home for me. My favorite, and still my favorite to this day, is Just for the Summer, which people can attest to because it was very emotionally charged, if you will. The romance was really great, but she does a really good with balancing humor and romance with kind of the darker side of reality, if you will. Just for the Summer really was all about, to me, being a child and dealing with your parents' actions, you're facing the consequences of them. And I've talked about that. I did a whole vlog where I read this book, and this one's about a parent with dementia. And what do you know? I am a caretaker for my father who has dementia. He is only 61. He got diagnosed with dementia about 3 years ago. I've been taking care of him since. And like I said with Just for the Summer, I really felt because It's all about the people that are dealing with their parents' actions. My dad, like, her mom could not have controlled the dementia. She got concussions when she was young. It just sadly happened. My dad was due to alcoholism, that and strokes and not getting it taken care of, but mainly to alcoholism is why he developed dementia. And that is why I say that I'm suffering the consequences, because it's actions of his own. I have a very tumultuous relationship with my father. I always have and always will. But this just really, I think, hits home on caregiving. I do love the village she had. She had an amazing village of people helping out her mom. They would take shifts and things like that, but it would still be overwhelming. And I also really felt that because I am like the only one that take care of my dad. My dad's not, dementia's different. Like, there's sundowning. My dad's not really vocal. He's very much more docile than Samantha's mom. But either way, I still felt this book like tremendously a lot with dementia and being a caregiver and how draining it is emotionally and physically. It's exhausting. And not only that, but I have a special needs child, so it's like, I'm not trying to like be like, what was me? I'm just trying to give you like, anyway, that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5, because I emotionally connected with it. Looking at it as a broader spectrum, the romance was okay. It wasn't 100% there. It wasn't like Abby's usual books. I have seen a ton of reviews saying this is very TikTok heavy with the way she would kind of write and everything like that. And I could see that. The one big flaw I have with this book is the very beginning. I am not kidding around. The first 4 chapters, they tell you Xavier looks like Rysand, whatever, from ACOTAR about 10 times. 10 times in a matter of like 3 chapters. And I was like, this is overkill. Like, I get it. So that was too much. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is just, okay, I get it. He's the paragon of perfection. Like, he looks perfect. So I was not a huge fan of that. I'm already 8 minutes into this, but either way, I can go on about this. I did give it a 5 out of 5. Overall, it would not fall anywhere kind of near my top for Abby's books. I would say my top is Just for the Summer. Right after is Happy Ever After Playlist. Then I think yours truly. Then maybe this. I don't know. I have to really revise my ranking, but I do recommend it. It does shed a lot. It does shed a light on caregiving with someone with dementia, and I always recommend that because you never know what somebody's going through with caring for somebody until you like do it yourself or you read about it and things like that. But overall, there's my feelings on that. Which brings me to my other sad part of this, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Oh guys. I have given every single book by Emily Henry a 5 out of 5. This is my first one that's not a 5 out of 5. I would give it 3.5, maybe 4. It is so unlike her other books. And I think that's the big fault of a lot of people is like, they're like, this is not like her usual books. And I am always like, you're not going to love every single book an author writes. There are some books that I've loved by my favorite author, some books I haven't, but either way, I will read them. I will continuously read her books. This book just felt kind of like, and I think a lot of people have also said it too, Evelyn Hugo ripoff, if you will. Taylor Jenkins Reid, I've talked about this in my vlog, has made a very clear switch in her writing. Her first 4 books were more romantic women's fiction, and then Evelyn Hugo came out, and that kind of made her turn to historical, fictional, famous characters kind of fiction. That's what she went into, and that is where she found her gem, like her jam. Like, that is her thing, and she does it well. I don't know if Emily Henry's trying to do that. This is like kind of a one and done thing, but it kind of felt like that. Because this whole book is about a character named Alice, and she's a journalist, and basically she finds this woman, Margaret Ives, who's in her late 70s, I believe. She's basically like a famous public figure, like kind of like Paris Hilton, the Kardashians. She was just famous for being born into a lot of money and things like that. And so she finds her in this really small island in Georgia. And so she goes there and she's like, I would love to write your book. And there she meets Hayden, who was another writer, and he also found Margaret Ives, and basically Margaret's like, look, I'll give you both like a month. You guys can take turns interviewing me, and then I'll decide who I want to write my biography. So basically, half this book is learning more about Margaret Ives' life and things like that, while also learning about Alice and Hayden's relationship and things like that. And it took me a while to get through this book. And usually I can speed through Emily Henry's, or I read them slow and savor them. This one I struggled with because I did not really care that much about Margaret Ives' story. I really didn't. Also, there were so many references to her family, like her great uncle, her great grandfather, her great aunt. And I'm like, why is there no freaking family tree in this? Because this is bothering me. How am I going to remember everybody? Nor do I want to. So I did not like that aspect of this book. I can see at the end how it all tied up. I'm not spoiling anything. It does have kind of a mystery element into it, but it just was just okay. It wasn't as usually romantic as Emily Henry's books are previously. So I didn't love it. I'm not like gonna bash it or anything. I think a lot of people are. They're like, this is the worst. I'm like, you're not gonna like every single book an author writes. You're just not. Let's just be realistic. You're not. It would be great if we lived in a world where we gave our favorite author every single one of their books 5 out of 5. I have previously with Emily Henry, and I do always expect going into them given a 5 out of 5, but I'm not writing her off after reading this. I will continuously read whatever she writes, because bottom line is she's an amazing writer and I do feel enthralled with the story, but this one just wasn't it for me. My favorite of hers is always Happy Place. I love it and adore it. So I mean, I would read it if you love Emily Henry. It's just not your typical Emily Henry book. That's all I'll say about it. I don't know if she's going to continue on with the way she's like maybe trying to pivot her career like Taylor Jenkins Reid did. I am not sure. I guess we'll figure out with the next book. We'll have to see. If you have any thoughts and feelings about these two, because these two people have just been like, what have these authors written? And I can agree with that somewhat. Okay, I can agree, because last year they had great hits with books and this year hasn't been vibing well with them. But I would love to know your feelings on them. Let me know. Moving on to Passion Project by London Sperry. This is one I wasn't planning to read. The cover really drew me in, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. This is very, very much like a book I read a month before, Promise Me Sunshine by Kara Beth Stone. Both of these books are about grief and kind of moving on. If I had to pick one of these, I'd probably pick Passion Project. I know. But this one is just really cute. It's about a character named Bennett who lost the love of her life, like her college boyfriend, and she decides to move to New York because that's always his dream, and she just can't really get out of her depression bubble, which is 100% understandable. And so basically she goes on this like date, and she kind of stands up the guy named Miles, and then they keep running into each other, and he's like, look, let's just like, let me help you find your passion, because she's really struggling with finding any sort of passion in her life. And so they decide to take classes together and things like that. And of course, a romance happens. I do not like the third act breakup. I thought they did my guy Miles dirty so many times. But overall, it's lighter. It's fun. It's got the New York vibes. If you want a book about New York in the summertime, I highly recommend checking this one out. I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. I haven't heard a ton of people talk about it, but I think it's a really cute summertime New York romance. I might even do a whole video of just books set in New York, because let's be real, there's a lot of them. Into The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I bought the Barnes & Noble edition because is that not the most stunning thing you've ever seen in your freaking life? I do feel like they missed an opportunity with the actual hardback, because it's just this. They could have done something more with it, but the end pages, I'm not gonna lie, I will keep this book for a long time due to the end pages. Because I previously read her book a couple years ago, Wayward. Really, really enjoyed it. Gave it 5 out of 5. This one did not have the same feelings for me, but I would recommend it for the summertime because it's all about sirens. So in this book, you follow 3 different storylines. One's in 2019 about Lucy, who wakens up in the middle of the night sleepwalking. She gets into a spot of trouble, so she flees to like where her older sister lives because she hasn't talked to her in a while. And when she gets there, her older sister is missing, and she's like, where is she? So that's one whole storyline. And then you also get another storyline when she finds her older sister's diaries from when she was younger. So that's another storyline. And then you get 1800s twins who are torn from their home in Ireland and forced to a convict ship bound to Australia. So that's a whole other thing too. So basically all these stories are about women that kind of have almost an allergic reaction to water. You can obviously see where it's going. It's all about water and the ocean, and they're really drawn to it, but bad things come from it, or do they? It was okay. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I will say, it was kind of a disappointment. If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. I don't know if I would recommend it for just everybody, but I'd say if you really want a book about kind of learning the power of yourself and womanhood, and also like being drawn to the ocean with sirens and stuff, I wanted more siren action, as weird as that sounds, I would recommend it. But other than that, like, You know, it's just kind of so-so, which bothers me because this cover is just everything. I loathe when I read a book with a beautiful cover and I do not like it. And I'm like, I don't want to get rid of you, but I'm trying to be practical and I don't want to keep books I don't love. This will probably stay on my shelf for a while because I can't. Anyway, moving on to my last two, which I'll try to talk briefly about because this video is long, is two sequels / companions. These are books. You don't have to read the books previously, but I do recommend it. First up, we'll talk about Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This is the fourth and final book in her Rebel Blue Ranch series. I have not read all of them. I have not read the second one. I've read the first and third and now the fourth one. I think my favorites are the third and fourth. This series is okay. It's not my favorite. They're good palate cleansers. They're good steamy cowboy romances. If that's your jam, I would check them out. This book follows Camille and Dusty, who you've seen previously in the novels before. They have had a relationship when they were younger. They are very much tumultuous now. It's obviously a second chance romance. At the beginning of this book, Camille is left at the altar. Dusty kind of saves her, and you kind of go on from there. Camille is also a single mom because she shares a kid with the guy in the third book, Gus, who had a whole love interest as well. It's adorable. It's steamy. There's like nothing a lot to say about it, if you will. It's just a good time. Like, they're just fun. They're fun kind of spring summer romances that are cowboys, steamy times. You get the gist. Would I recommend this series? Yeah, I would. I think it's a good time. It's not like my favorite of all favorites, but I always have a good time with this author, so I'll read more of her books. I don't know what she's going to do next because this is the conclusion to the series, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Moving on to my last book is Enchantra. This is the second book in the Phantasma duology. I don't know if she's going to do more. I think she will with the way it ended, but I love Phantasma. I read it on a whim last year at the end of the year, and I had a good time with it, just like I did with Enchantra. They both are good for each, but I think my favorite is still Phantasma. I just really like the romance in this one. This is a hate to love one and kind of a fake marriage as well. So in this book, we followed the main character's sister from Phantasma's, Genevieve, and Genevieve basically travels to Italy because she learns there might be another kind of necromancy family like herself, and she's always felt kind of like the black sheep of her family, if you will. And so she goes to Enchantra, and this family, I forget what the last name of their family is, the Silver family, and she gets caught up in their deadly game they compete in every single year. The Silver family is huge. It's kind of being pitched as like the movie Ready or Not with Samara Weaving in it. If you haven't seen that, please watch it. Like, I don't watch a lot of scary movies, but it's more like scary satire-y. I love it. The vibes in this just do match the book. Basically, like, all the siblings have to kill each other, if you will, in this. And she has to get married to Rowan, who is one of the Silvers, to be a part of this game so she doesn't get automatically killed. And so it's a fake relationship, hate to love, steamy times with some dark stuff as well because there's like devils in this book and all that kind of stuff. It's pitched just like a dark romantasy, which I would agree with. It's not as dark as some other books. I'm not a big fan of dark romances. That's not my jam. This is, I would say, like if there was levels of light, medium, and dark with dark romances, it would be on the light spectrum for me. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it, 4 out of 5. I think with these books, you just go into it knowing you're going to have a good time, suspend your disbeliefs. I liked it. It was fun. I'll read more from this author. I do enjoy kind of her take on kind of the whole paranormal, spooky stuff, but also love and things like that. She balances it out really well. I enjoyed it. There you have my thoughts and feelings on these 6 brand new releases. I'd love to know if you've read any of these or are going to read them. What are your feelings? Let's talk about it on the comments because I know there's a lot of people that have different opinions about certain books, so I'd love to hear them. As always, thank you for watching. Sorry for that noise. It is my child. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.